Let's talk about the schedule. Similar to what it's been in the past.
Yeah, it's similar. We try to make the non-conference as tough as we can. Try to put as many quality opponents on there as we can. I think we're playing 3 teams in the top 15 on the weekend and on the road, which will get us ready. It's all about getting prepared for league play, and it's also going to help us down the road, as we go into the postseason run, stuff like that, so we can get acquainted to seeing what we need to see. The other thing is, I think performing against that schedule also helps kids get recruited at a higher level. So it's a good deal for us, and we feel like we're up for that challenge.
You guys had another good year of getting players moved along too last year, didn't you? Talk a little bit about that and how that just kind of continues to evolve year after year.
I think, it kind of starts with, Dion again. He has, contacts with a lot of schools that, we've obviously spent a lot of time. He's spent a lot of time, building those relationships, connections, and things like that over the course of, 10, 12, 13 years here. So, all that's very important, but our practice environment is very good. A lot of times we have a lot of 4-year schools that'll come to those things. Recruiting coordinators fly in, they come in, sit in our indoor facilities, do things like that. But the goal of coming to this school is not necessarily to win games for our coaching staff. Your goal coming here as a kid or a player is to, help your game, grow your game, develop your game, learn, listen, obviously compete, but then open the door to your next school. So we always talk about us being the mailroom job kind of thing, like relating it to a real life job, but that's really what it is. And we understand that, we're trying to help our kids move on because that's why they want to come here in the first place. We allow them to think like that because that's what we want for them. We want them to press the envelope and get to the highest level that they get to, and Dion does a great job of that.
Talk a little bit about the makeup of this year's squad. It looks like a lot of freshmen, but that's kind of the way it always is for you guys.
Oh wow, yeah. So it's a new group. Every year is different, and the kids go in, the kids go out. That's one thing about this level. They're not here very long. The most is usually 2 years. Then they're on to the next group. So we lost a core group, which is nature of it. We replaced them with a lot of quality players, pieces on the mound. The thing is, they're freshmen; they just haven't done it yet, and it's going to be a lot of their opportunity to move on and move into the role of start to build their resume so they can move on. And then we have some, a few returning sophomores that played some parts for us last year that are continuing to build their resume so they can get to the next step of their career. And kind of excited with this group to kind of see where we're kind of going, and just start and just keep going, build our team through the end of the year.
As the season starts, strengths and weaknesses. Is it too early to tell, or give me both?
Well, I'm gonna say that I think our players are always a strength for us. On the mound we do return some veteran pitching, that way. So I would consider that probably a strength, and just the depth of our team is probably also a strength that we have. A lot of different ways that we can mix and match lineups, and as well on the mound. So I think that's always a strength. As far as weaknesses, I don't really know how until you play a game. Obviously we played in the fall, but things are different. We've added pieces, we've lost some, so it all kind of evens out, and you just kind of need to get out and play before you can really make those assessments. We feel good about where we're at this point in practice. We've been outside a little more than we have in the past, which has been nice. But again, until we play a game, it's really hard to tell.
Instead of weaknesses, is it fair to ask concerns? Do you have any concerns as you go in?
Well, there's always concerns every year. Finding guys that can hit the middle of the order and drive in runs. Finding guys that you can give the ball to and figure out in the situation that you need to get a couple outs that we're going to the right guy. So that plays itself out over time, and usually the first 20, 25 games you're trying to figure out your team. And our job, I feel like, or my job, these guys' job as coaches, our job is to figure out who can do what when and who can't. And the only way to learn that is put them out there. So you're going to see a lot of guys play the first 5 weeks in non-conference. It's like we're hurrying up to play spring training to get to the season, to get to May. And so we can figure out who's going to be ready to do what, when, and who's the matchup, and what we need to do and how we need to do it, and just kind of keep figuring that out as we go.
Talk about the schedule. On paper, it kind of looks similar. You'll be down south in some warmer weather, and then you come up. But that always seems like the way you guys plan this out.
Yeah,
Get some games in early.
I think we have to. I think we're going to. We start in Tennessee next week. Other than our first opponent, we really don't know who it's going to be after that, depending on how it goes. So we know who we play the first game, and other than that, we really don't. But then I think we come home, we go right back to southern Kansas the next weekend for series against Cali County, and then back to Texas the week after that. So. Mostly with the Southern stuff, it helps because number one, it's good baseball. Number two, usually you get those games in. And, when you're trying to play early and get ready for conference for us, and you're trying to give your team a chance to see some stuff that we may need to be prepared for later in the year, those types of games are certainly worth it, especially when there is no RPI, as Dion always likes to say. So you're trying to play as good a people and as many good opponents as you can early to see what you need in order to be better down the road.
Kind of see where the bar's at, so to speak.
Yep.
As you look at the schedule, and then it gets a little later on in the season, very similar to what it has been. It looks like, the Lunas and all those guys in your conference and everything else. So that it looks like it's going to be somewhat similar. But this early preseason is really going to give you guys a chance to kind of see what you got. And is that part of the plan here too? Is to let's just get these guys out and see what we have type thing?
It is. That's exactly the plan, and do it against as good a competition as we can play. Logistically play as far as being able to travel and stuff like that. And get the games in. So, to see, like the schedule in the Empire Conference in Region 9 has not changed. It might change the order of who you play. McCook's always going to be the last game of the year. It's kind of a closest opponent deal. They put the last time of the year, and then you go to the regional tournament. But we're always trying to play teams that make us coach better, make us see better pitching. We see better hitters play faster, move faster, take advantage of what we do wrong so we can correct those things going forward and get ready for league, because really, like he said the RPI thing, but, at this level, the way it's set up right now, you do everything through your league. So you want to win games, but you want to get your team ready. That's the biggest thing, and we're feeling like that this is the best way to do it, and this is why we do it the way we do it.
You guys have always brought in some really quality kids with good families. I mean, these people, they'll travel with you guys, and that's just the beginning of the support. Talk a little bit about, kind of the quality of kids that you're looking at here and the support that you guys get from these families that are really there for these guys. We've
been lucky that way for a long time. I mean, dating back to, I think when Dion and I started this thing, just doing it together, it was 13 years ago. I feel like we've always had a pretty good following with kids and their family, their parents, grandparents even, aunts and uncles. But it seems like every year it seems like, we get more and more. And I feel like our base is, getting, or I guess our network of people are getting wider, which is always nice. But yeah, these are really, really good kids, and they're not just Nebraska kids. We do have our fair share of those kids, but we've got a host of Colorado kids. We've got a Texas kid or two. We've got a kid from Ohio. We've got kids that come from all over the country. And when they get here, I would say we've had some really close teams in the past. This one's probably, in my opinion, the closest. They've acclimated to that, or they did extremely fast in the fall, probably faster than any group we've had. And I don't know whether that was because there were so many new ones that just gelled together right away, or whether that was the environment that was created right away. I don't know which one it was, but these guys are really, really good people, and we're pretty lucky in that regard.
Coaching staff stays the same? Will you bring on new people or stick with the same folks?
We're in the same core group. Obviously, it's Ty and Trevor will do the pitching. Coach Divis, Wyatt will do, catching and help with the hitters. And then, our dad's in the dugout there. And so it's the same core, and it's a really good staff. We all have different things that we like to do and do well, and I think we have different approaches to the game, and we all have different personalities, and I think they've blended together pretty well. So, but it's been lucky, to put, and again, that goes back to the people, just like the players. So we've been lucky, and it's a really qualified junior college staff when you consider where they've been, the coaches and the experience and the time they put in.
Respectfully, what's it gonna take to get over that postseason hump? I know that's been a thing here, and I know you guys wanna take it farther, but what's it gonna take? Can you sit here today and say, well, we gotta do this or that, but as you look at it today, and I know that's a long way away, we got the whole season to play, but that's been a thing here with you guys.
Steve, I'll tell you what the key is. We got to score one more run than everybody else at that time of the year.
Yeah.
That is the right thing. Yeah, it's and to give you a real answer to that. I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but number one, you got to have some luck at that point of the season. Doesn't really matter who you are, and it's very rare that you have, that you can just outright be better than somebody. A couple of years ago, we watched Central Arizona, and when they won it all, and they got beat the very first game that they played, or the second game, they got beat in the winners bracket final by Salt Lake, and then had to come back and beat them twice. And Salt Lake had them, with runner in scoring position and lined out on a diving catch. The right fielder made an incredible play, and they ended up, coming back, winning that game, and then winning the next one, and then they won the whole thing the next week in Grand Junction. So it takes a little bit of luck, no matter who you are. But again, I think that's the reason that we continue to work every day like we do, and I think it's something that keeps you, focused on what your goals are, and doesn't allow you really to be sidetracked in how you want to do things. Because I think until we get there. And even then, you're never done unless you win the last one. And if you do, the season starts over again. So there's always something to work for.
I just say we're going to do it or die trying.
Yeah.
That's the deal. And you're playing high level competition. You gotta, by the time you get to Arizona, Nevada, Utah, I've been fortunate to win Region 9 and get to that point the last 3 years. And when you get to that level, you're playing somebody that's a legit contender or going to win the national championship. So that's the level you got to play at, and you cannot be afraid, and you got to just go after it and leave it out there. And like he said, hopefully you get a little lucky at the right time. So, we're just going to keep going. And like I said, we're going to do it or die trying.